Okay, thank you, everybody. Today is September 20th. Just trying to make sure I have my wireless connection here. First thing we're going to do is roll call. We can just go around the room and state your name. Melissa, can we start with you, please?
Sure, Melissa Kamikaze here.
Shabbat, think this time?
Yeah.
David Alden here.
Chloe Dryhouse here. Jennifer Lima here. Sherry Gagnon here. Katie Gabriel Black here. Okay, awesome. The next thing to do, so we did not meet in August. July was scheduled for us to be off, so really the last time we met is June, which feels like it was forever ago. So we need to approve the minutes from the June meeting. Did everybody get a chance to look at them at some point between now and June? Can I get a motion to approve those? Okay, second? Okay, all in favor? Okay. So the agenda, we've got a couple things on the agenda. I want to kind of, if nobody objects, move the timing of the order of them, because the one thing that's really pressing is the membership. I think it was just locked out. Sorry, hold on. Okay. The membership, the terms and time limits and everything like that. So I'd like to talk about that first, if nobody objects. Okay, so I had sent out, let me know if you need me to resend it, like a summary of what we had talked about the last time we were together. We may need to revisit everything because that was a while ago. We are actually, at the same time we're talking about this here, it's on the agenda for the next policy subcommittee to look at membership rules in general for all of our subcommittees. So we're going to be looking at it big picture, and then the way I would envision it is each subcommittee will also so we'll have the big overarching policy for all subcommittees, and then each subcommittee will have their own individual, because each committee is different and has their own little unique things. So I kind of want to go through this. Hi, Angela. I was hoping we'd have the screen, but we don't. I figured walk through this. So we had talked about 2-year terms for new members, and that the ideal makeup would be ideally 15 members plus 2 school committee members and 1 central admin member. Ideally 3 parents, high school, middle school, elementary. Ideally 3 teachers, high school, middle school, elementary. 1 representative from the special ed community, not from special ed admin, but a special ed from the family. 1 OFL representative, 1 administrator at the building level, 2 community members, and then 4 students, middle school and high school aged. We talked about how there should be flexibility around term limits so that willing members aren't stopped from being able to continue to serve once their term limits are up. No new people apply, and then also flexibility within the desired makeup of the committee, so that if no middle school parents apply, you could have 3 high school parents or something like that. And then in order not to turn over the whole committee, for now, anybody who is on it right now could remain for 1 more year if they wanted to. And then we would want to set a deadline for, if you want to remain on it, we need to know by such and such a date so that, we know how many people we're looking to fill. Does anybody have any questions or concerns on that so far? And then I'll skip the actual application itself for right now, but so there would be a Google form application. We would make sure it was available in English and in Spanish. We would do the advertisement itself in both English and Spanish. It would go out via an email from the superintendent to all the parents in the NKSD, all students in grades 6 through 12, Shabella, does that require parental permission to send it to the students? I know we have to for surveys, but I wasn't sure if that.
No, that it can just go, information can just go from principals.
Okay. And then, like send it out in like social media. We could ask the local PTOs to send it out as well. We can put it on the website like with a pop-up. And I didn't know we could put like I think when we did it before, we did put something in the local paper. I know like print is like a dying breed, but I don't know where else to advertise it. Because that was something I know we talked about, like how to make sure that we're reaching a broad consensus. A broad number of people. Does anybody have any? Like, what did I not say?
Maybe that was in the library or in the
That's a good idea.
various spaces.
What was that second thing you said to me?
Other public government related, we're going to be having an election, or we're voting soon, so maybe a big place to put it out there for community.
Oh, like in polling places? Yeah. Library's a great place. Anybody else have any?
I don't know if there are like community organizations that have, I don't know, local offices or contact people like in the town that have similar goals as to this subcommittee that they might, that might be where we get community members or even parents if they're connected to them. Okay. I'm not thinking of anything right now, like off the top of my head, but I would just require a quick search party.
So any thoughts for?
I really agree with the library. I think it's a really good idea. I definitely, even as a teenager, whenever I'm at the library, we will read the postings and stuff, So I really, really like that idea. Maybe like other government buildings could include like the town hall or something like that. You know what I mean? But I think the library is a really, really good idea.
Also maybe religious, like churches or
Yeah, as people share it with their own.
Does the school do like a club, like an assembly to use the clubs or anything?
There's a club there, but it's like very club oriented, so I don't know how. But I think that there might be. I don't know what the rules are on putting like flyers up around the school. Sometimes there have been times when it's been like you're not allowed to, or it seems like maybe you're not allowed to. But that's something, like, I think if you ask a teacher to put it up in their window and they say yes, you can, and I know teachers who probably would be willing to put up a flyer for students to see, and maybe teachers might see it as well. But I just don't know about the club fair being so focused on school clubs. There's really a lot we could do with that. I don't know what if you agree about the club fair.
That's pretty much been like the clubs that are there for already in existence. So,
Right.
Yeah, this would be, I think, separate.
Right, these are some good suggestions, and then as we get closer, if somebody has another idea, we can do that.
When are you looking at pushing it out?
Well, that's the other thing. I think like the overarching policy that we're going, you had in the committee, we were talking about how in the policy subcommittee we're going to be looking at like this type of a process for all of the subcommittees, and like there will be kind of one like an overarching like broad one for policies, and then each individual subcommittee will kind of have one that's like unique to theirs. And like in theory, I think the draft that we're looking at will say like in August the superintendent will send out something and say like these subcommittees have. So obviously it's September, so but I would say as soon as we get this to the school committee and it gets approved, we'll push it out. So as soon as that wheel turns. And then obviously so once let's say the application goes out, we would keep it open for a period of time. Like, what is a reasonable period of time to have the applications open for?
I would say
people enough time to apply, but.
And then within that month, like, how often, like, how many reminders go out within that month?
Did you mean like email blast reminders or?
Well, like, so we send it out, let's say, just arbitrary numbers, we send it out on October 1st.
Yeah.
And we say applications due by November 1st. So in that time period, do we just say nothing, or like, do we send out a reminder at some point that says, hey, just a reminder?
So if it's going out through, like, I'm imagining Kenny is gonna send this out to like
Aspen list or
Aspen list from the high school part, and I would have to check with the middle schools. We send out weekly newsletter, and then we also do a weekly principals communication. So what we would do is we keep it just like every week
It would be on
until it's over.
Okay.
So they'll get 4 reminders from us.
And that's how I got it, with
Yeah.
our
So once a week.
elementary school principal.
Oh, it was
Yeah.
on that,
It was
okay.
on their newsletter.
Okay.
That's
I think that's reasonable.
I was thinking once a week.
Yeah, I mean, and I think that is certainly, and so for students though, like, do the students get an email?
They do. They get a weekly email from the principal also,
Okay, so
and they
it
get
could
the newsletter.
Okay. And that's at the middle school level too?
Yeah, we send one out weekly.
Weekly.
Okay.
And we would put it like in the front of the newsletter, so it would just stay there, and newsletter goes out every week. Okay. So we wouldn't remove it until the month is over.
Until it was over. Okay, so that's, I mean, I think that's opportunity. I mean, you can't make people read it, but at least it's out there and open.
Usually the students that are gonna be involved enough to be, you know, like overlapping numbers with the, are the same students who are gonna be reading.
Actually reading the newsletter,
Yeah.
right? I agree, I agree.
How would community members be reminded?
So I think like we could leave it on the website with that pop-up, because I think, like, you know, when it's a school committee meeting date, like you go on the website, there's that pop-up, so we could leave that pop-up. Except when there has to be like a school committee pop-up, so that's one way. There is probably we could announce it at school. I mean, there's 2 school October. Of course, this time of year it's a little weird. We don't have like the like consistent 2 weeks, but I mean, there's at least one school committee meeting a month that it can be announced at. There are town council meetings. I mean, that gets a little weird crossing like the town and school, but I mean, most of the ways that we've talked about, aside from like putting it out on like the school district social media, is reaching, even that's probably only reaching parents. I mean, I don't think most non-parents are following the school social media. I think it was. I really do think it was. I've got to go, because like, you know how the town advertises when they have openings on their boards? Like, I think, like, really we should do the same thing. Not just for this, but for all openings on committees. And I think I remember that we put something. I have to go back and dig up my notes, but I think I remember that we did something. So we really should do that this time too. So at least 2 in that monthly period. So then the other question I had was, you know, when vacancies are filled, if someone leaves a spot, does the application reopen, or does it stay vacant until the next application cycle? And like the draft that I have for the policy basically says that it's at the discretion of the subcommittee chair whether or not to open up for new members. unless the number of administrators is more than the number of parents and community members. So like, if it's all administrators and then one parent or community member, then you have to open it back up so that it kind of represents the community. But if it remains a balance, then it's at the discretion of the chair. So there's no like hard, fast rule that says you must maintain 50 members and you must, open it up if one becomes open it more, to, the discretion of the subcommittee chair whether or not to open up the membership, unless it dips below, so that it's not just a bunch of administrators sitting in a room making a decision. What's everybody's thoughts on that? Oh, there is something that's in that also that says like if you miss like I think it's 2 or more or 3 or more, there's language that says that the chair can remove you for like repeated absences or something. So that like that is in there also, and we could put, and that's kind of where like the overarching policy covers all of them, and then like the minutia would cover like each individual. Because I was looking at this and I was like this, our like Google Form application is going to be specific to this subcommittee, but like the building subcommittee form is going to be completely different. But some of the policies like that, like if you don't show up, you're going to get kicked off, is going to be covered to all of them. So some things are going to be like subcommittee in general, and some of them are going to be specific. Does anybody have any questions about any of that stuff that we just talked about? Okay, so that's it for that part. So then the next part is the actual form. So are we okay with putting what we just talked about forward to the school committee? Like,
Oh, I have a question.
Sure.
So we talked about membership, but then the chair of the committee, will the chairs that can fall under the leader, are they assigned by, how will that turn into?
the chair of the committee is the school committee members and the central admin member, which in this case is Rob. Like Shivali is the building administrator, like she fits that role, and Rob is the central admin member. So that's like kind of set. We're outside of the membership.
And then the chair is from the school committee, like after years that gets picked.
Yeah. And it's the chair of these. I think it was the way I read the policy was it's the discretion of the chair of the committee, not the chair of the school committee, who has that authority. But yeah, I think, and every 2 years, the school committee kind of like re-ups for their slots on each subcommittee. Yeah. And I don't know with the central admin person, like whether they get re-ups every 2 years, either, or whether they stay on perpetuity. I'm not sure how that works. So does anybody have any questions, concerns, additions, anything here? So if not, I'll make a motion to clean this document up a little bit and then forward it to the school committee as our recommendation for what the makeup of this committee and the application process looks like, and let them know that we would like to move forward with, filling this, but I need to know what do we think is the date that we want to have people who are on the committee now declare their intention whether to stay on or not. It's a reasonable date. So it's 9/20, right? Our next school committee meeting is 10:03. So I can get this on that agenda. And then our next meeting is the 18th.
I feel like at latest, whenever the application is live, because then we know how many spots need to be filled.
Yeah.
Right.
As applications are coming in. At the
And
latest,
like,
we
what-
could always do it earlier.
That makes sense.
That makes
So I guess it depends if it, whenever it gets approved
Right.
to actually get out. That would be good.
So then the document itself. Okay, so last time we looked at this, we had a couple changes that we wanted to make. So we talked about we took the application that we used the last time and we talked about and made some changes. So we said it's going to be available in English and Spanish. In the first page, we changed it to say co-chaired by 2 members of the North Kingstown School Committee. And instead of specifying the number of members, we just said it will include North Kingstown community members, blah, blah, blah. We didn't leave a number in there. And then we talked about having a line that said to contact the superintendent's office to request an accommodation with the form. That way, if somebody, wanted to, needed help filling it out or send in a videotape instead of, writing on the form or something like that, they would be able to reach out to the superintendent. Obviously, the dates on here from 2021, those are not valid, so that would have to be. So all these demographic questions, we're going to move down to the end of the application. We talked about wanting to highlight the fact that those are not the important questions, that the answers to the short, long answer questions are the important ones, so those will all move down. And I think we talked about, but I couldn't remember. Are we marking only one oval, like you're either a parent or a teacher, right? Or are they checking more than one box? I don't know if we talked about that or if I just couldn't remember that.
I feel like I'd want to know if they have more than one.
Okay.
It's all done from our
Right.
perspective, right?
There's a lot of students at
But-
NKSD who are teachers who live in Cleveland. So I don't know why we wouldn't want that to be available to us.
But if we're looking to fill certain roles on the committee, and they're filling 2 of them, they should declare which hat they're here at the table with.
Or they could work the other way though, but if we had 3 parents and a short like another person, then maybe they could default to that and still would get in if they had both pieces.
I'd still want to know both because, when I'm here, I'm a parent, but I have my lens of working at a university, of working on DEI in multiple spaces, so I don't take those hats off necessarily, right? So, if we're sitting at the table, there could be varying perspectives of someone with different hats on, right? Like from my teacher perspective, but as a parent, blah, blah, blah. And I think all of that's important to hear in discussion.
Should we specify whether it's a district teacher or an educational professional from outside?
Yeah, so maybe where we have teacher drop down for school and then outside the district or something,
Otherwise, an alternative or something.
or higher
Not sure how to
ed or
phrase
something like
it.
that. What's the better way to phrase because I think when we talked before, we talked about student, teacher, and parent. Actually, all the buckets on there, we talked about adding a drop down so that we knew middle, elementary, high school.
But if you put down for the teacher, whether they're district or not, then if they're coming in as a parent and is a teacher in another district, are you going to ask all parents for their occupations?
I would vote just NK teacher is how it reads, and then drop down for an NK school. Then we know that
So in other words, if you're coming in as a parent, but you're a teacher in another district,
You're a parent.
you're a parent, yeah.
Versus, yeah.
Because I think one of the questions is give your experience.
Right.
Oh, so maybe I am applying as a,
I think should they have like a choice of like, do they want to participate as a staff member or a parent? And then, if we know that they have this, so let's say we couldn't put them in because that spot is filled, knowing that, they are a parent.
Or another hat, they could.
We can say, look, we don't have any spots as a teacher, however, we can accommodate you as a parent. I don't know.
They would just have to then have something like all that apply or some other thing and
Other roles or something.
right.
so maybe I am a check all that apply, and like, we do like, check, and then I am applying as a, like, two different,
Or we could just let them check off, and that should be it, and then we can decide, and then what the vacancies are or the seats are.
so like, they could be 18
They could be
things.
anything.
Yeah, and then we can kind of put them where they do this, okay, so. Okay. And coming back and looking at this now, are we missing any buckets? I think these tie into what we talked about, but when I sat down to look at this today, I was like, June was a long time ago. My only other question was, do we want to go down to the school level, or do we want to just do elementary, middle, higher ed? Like, how specific do we want to get?
Under the teacher program?
Under like student, teacher, parent. I'm fine either way, I just want to know, like,
Well, we would need that information, right? Because we are saying that we want the community to have this type of balance. So we would need to at least collect that information from them.
so that we don't end up with all kids
Right.
from Stony Lane or all kids from.
Yeah.
Alright, yeah, okay.
I'm thinking that's what school.
But it might be difficult with parents because a lot of parents are parents to students at multiple different levels. And so we would want to make sure that if we did a drop down menu for parent, we did it in a way that it didn't force a parent to only choose middle school level when they have their children in multiple different levels,
Yeah, I think we can do that, like child one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or like throwing one.
Yeah. I mean, I can find somebody like that.
So, on the student part, so in the beginning, we had some college students that were Zoom.
Yep.
And so, would college students not fall under students, because they were past students, or would they now?
They were alumni.
community? Pardon?
They were alumni.
Right, so is there an alumni?
Or within the community.
Are they community members now? Because it was there were valuable lived experiences that we were able to provide different than a at-large community member being then.
Do we add, so we can either do like student college, we can do NKHS alum, like parentheses, like within past, like class of 4 years or whatever, so that they know, like, technically my husband's an NKHS class alum, that he doesn't fall into that bucket, like, you know what I mean, like narrow it down, or we can add or they're now a community member.
I think if they're alums, it's going to come out in the short answer questions. Also, if they're alums, and if we do the multiple checkbox option, they could check community member, but then also check other and specify that, then they might want to make it clear that that's why, but because if we do the multiple checkbox option, they would be more able to
make that clear.
Right. I mean, I would think if it was their driving force and wanting to be a part of this, that they would say it somewhere, like.
And if it's not their driving force enough to say it, then maybe that they are participating more in the community rather than not.
Right.
I wonder if we throw it into question on to help us ensure the DEI subcommittee has representation from key community stakeholders, like at the end of that parentheses, please indicate alumni status if applicable. Because if we can capture.
Oh, like under 10,
Yeah,
like specifically
currently
call
10,
it out.
we're gonna move that number,
Yep.
change that number, but, I mean, I don't think it hurts to collect it with the check boxes, but it's not necessarily a status we're looking for to fill the seats.
Yep, yeah,
So-
no, I like that, yep. I agree, yep. Okay. That is a comp.
Yeah.
Yeah. So does that take care of number 3?
For the committee makeup, we do say special ed rep and OFL rep. Would those be included in 3 as well?
Yes, and that's why I have a thing, I dropped out for Office of Family
I'm
Learning
sorry.
under support professional. And then I wrote, how do we want to capture special ed rep? Like I wasn't sure where and how to put that, like. Under community member, under parent, under tone box. Oh, I love your glasses, what?
Can you repeat that? I was looking for that.
So under support professional, I'm going to, but now that I'm thinking about that, I'm like, I don't know, does that, like, what if you're looking at that and you work for OFL and you don't see that under there? So now I'm like double thinking that, but for, like, we want somebody to represent, like the experience of like a special ed, a family with special needs. So like, where do we put that on here so that like, if you're filling it out, you see yourself in the application and recognize that we want to hear your voice. Because that's a marked shift in what we're looking for.
Could we include maybe a box where they could state whether or not they are involved with CLAP or a special education teacher or parent or family member of a special education student? Or a special education student themselves, or a student going to.
If there's special education rep, what if there were another category in the same, just that, special education, or voice for special education,
You
right?
can see advocate.
Advocate, okay.
Advocate, yeah.
Yeah.
Of course, that's it, that's the word.
We just tired.
I know, I know.
Long day.
Okay. Yep, that's good. Okay, I like that. That'll be its own bubble. Yep. And then what about OFL? Where do we want to do it? Put them under support professional?
Could they go in alphabetical order?
Like that's a really like specific niche like role that we're trying to fill there. Like, so that's gonna be like there's not gonna be somebody sitting at home on their living room sofa going, oh yeah, that's me. Like there's like probably, I don't know, 5, 6, 7 people who like will fit that criteria. Probably not even that many. Right, like, but that's what I mean, like, so I'm afraid that even the OFL people might look at the see support professional and not click on that box and go, oh, they're looking for me. So do we call it like OFL community health worker, like, type?
If it's a small number, like, is it, and can we say, like, I don't know if they have regular meetings or anything, but at such meeting, hey, we want one of you all to join us, look for that under support.
Yeah, we can
professional.
definitely check it.
That's sort of, if we put it under drop down.
Yeah, we can definitely check it. Between Chloe and I, we probably represent half that office with our family members.
Just be like, don't forget
Yeah.
there's a box.
That's our problem. Yeah, so we can totally do that. Okay, all right, so I'm gonna add the special education advocate. We're gonna make these alphabetical order. And we're gonna list it at the school level, and we're gonna take out Mark 1, you can mark as many as you want. Did I miss anything? So now, if we're doing that, because before we didn't have the drop down for school, do we need number 4? No. I don't think so, okay.
No, not if you have a drop down.
Yeah, that's why, before we didn't have that, so that one makes sense, okay. So, okay, now on to number 5. I tried to find, we talked about changing these categories, I tried to find an inclusive listing that I could pull in, and I put this, I think, in alphabetical order. Does this look okay? Should we add something, take it out? Is there something better? What are people's thoughts on this? But I think this went from I think I pulled this off of a federal document.
Number 5, right? Is what we're talking
Yes.
about? The only thing that I might say is maybe, like on 3, have a line after other so that people can specify what other was if they would like to.
Are you looking at the red? Oh, no, you're not looking at the marker one.
Oh, I'm not?
No.
Man, I'm on the wrong one.
Okay, I'll send it to you. Hang on.
I'm sorry.
No, that's fine.
I went all the way back to the, or it's probably because I missed last meeting. That was probably the source of
No,
it.
that's fine.
Thank you so much. Sorry. No,
You followed along remarkably well, because
well, that explains why.
in my head I was
Some of the
like, what
boxes
are these
on
people
this.
talking about?
I did think the list of options on question 3 seemed shorter than you guys were implying, but I assumed that was just me.
I just sent it to you.
Okay, great. Then I take that back.
Okay. And you'll be glad to see there is a line after that to the people.
Oh my goodness.
I have one question that might be nitpicky.
No, please nitpick.
The other before Pacific Islander, does that imply not as good?
No, I pulled it right from the thing, so that's, I think it's just not as good, but just not native Hawaiian.
Right, but I'm just wondering if it could be red. That's why it's like small nitpicky, like you're not native Hawaiian, you're not American.
Is there another, like,
or even just using native Hawaiian or Pacific Islander, getting rid of the other.
we can do that.
It's very small.
I've also never seen it like that though. Because I've only seen like Native Hawaiian / Pacific Islander.
Which is a slash. Yeah.
The Census Bureau does have it as that, though, the other.
Yeah, that's right, I pulled it
Yeah.
literally off
Right
of
from
that,
there.
so, but no, I think that's an important change, and I'm gonna make that right now.
This explains it.
Yeah, I agree, take the other out.
Yeah. Go on.
And I do like.
Yes.
Yeah, I liked another much better than other, which is, probably should have caught the other up there, but. Any other questions or comments on that section?
For 6 and 7, we have
Okay, I know, it's much better.
Right, I was also wondering about, I thought there was something missing too on the original.
Yeah.
So, this is much better.
Yes.
for 6 and 7 we have another and then specified.
Yeah, again, I pulled that right off, so I'm happy to take that off.
Another could be
I can pull the line instead, and that way if people want to put it in, they can, and if they don't want to, they don't have to.
right, so
Yep.
another option.
Yes. I did this email for others. I'll pull up that specified down in the last one too, and do the same thing to a line. Okay, do you have any questions or comments on 5 through 7? Chloe?
5 through 7?
Yes.
I mean, I have a positive comment.
Okay.
I really liked how we changed, because this was when I was looking at the old, on our favorite version, I noted this, how we took out transgender male and transgender female and just put woman and man, because male and female versus woman and man, there's some disagreement among people about what the definition exactly is, so I just thought that was kind of confusing. So I like that. So yeah, I think it's much better. Both of them.
Okay, number 8 specifies going away, the lines coming in. Anything that's missing on there? Anything you should add, change? No, all good with that? Now, Dave, you had so eloquently talked about how we want to add a question to capture people who are neurodivergent. And then I sat down to make the box, and I was like, don't know how to do it. So can you help me, because you were
Goodness.
so
I
good
don't remember
when you
bringing
talked
out to
about
the summer.
it. But I think it's so important, and I didn't know, I couldn't put it in a box. And I know it's hard to put it in a box, but I think it's so critical that we do that, because it is important. So in 30 seconds or less, I would like you to summarize.
For which number?
There is no number, we have to add it. So it would just be like another way for people to, if they chose to, do you identify as neurodivergent?
Or are we asking if they identify or have any other disabilities other than neurodivergency?
Do you have any at all? Or is that?
I mean, would that be important to ask?
Can we ask that?
I don't know that we can ask.
I don't think we can,
No,
yeah.
so can we ask about neurodivergent, see if we,
Is there anything else you want us to know about you? Like,
maybe keep it like that,
Yeah.
general, that they wanna share it.
Any special circumstances you'd like us to know about?
I agree that it should be more vague, especially since, I think this is kind of a random thing, but the word neurodivergent is a great word, but it's often used to describe very specific things like autism and ADHD, but it actually means like any sort of like I have
Out
the
of the
definition
norm,
right,
yeah.
out of the norm, like things, so like it could include, not that we're not looking for people who maybe have like epilepsy or something like that, but like it's not, like it's such a wide term that it's hard to know exactly what, you know what I mean? And so I think having a more, so that people can just say what they would want to say if they want to say it, as opposed to just a yes or no.
so,
Could it be more general, like in one of the questions, briefly, what is motivating you? We changed it from like it's what is motivating. Could it be or what makes you unique, like, or what special qualities you feel is has a uniqueness or something like that would be that people could answer, because it could really be a number of different things.
Could just simply be, do you have other identities you'd like to share? Because all the other questions are, how do you identify?
Yes, I like that.
Yeah, I really
Yes.
like that.
That sounded, that's kind of very positive.
Yes.
You know?
okay, perfect. Okay, so that covers all like the short, check boxes, for lack of a better term, questions. And then those are gonna be at the bottom, and then these questions, we're gonna move them up to the top. And so, please briefly share what's motivating you to wanna serve on the subcommittee. We're gonna say max 200-word answer for each question. That way we're kind of like capping everybody at the same limit. And also that way we said, like if somebody wants to do like a video response, we have some way of kind of making it equivalent. And then the next question is, to help us ensure that the DEI subcommittee has representation from key community stakeholders, please note any relevant positions you hold in our community. And we're going to add, if you are an alumni, please let us know here. That way we know that. And then we're going to add another question that says, please provide an example of a demonstrated experience advocating for issues of DEI in your personal and professional life, specifically as it relates to anti-racism, cultural competence, right, and or implicit and explicit bias. And those are going to be the short answer questions. And then there were two other checkbox questions that's listed here. Those are also going to be top. Is when are you available to attend meetings? And then can you commit to attending monthly meetings for a 2-year term for this volunteer position?
Does it have to be, that question, do we make it specifically to be about professional life, or could it be your experience? Does it have to be, you know, the one where it says, where you advocated?
Yeah, it says personal or professional.
Personal or
Yep,
professional.
yep.
Do these have any weight in terms of if they say before school that everyone else can only meet after, that they're not even considered? Or, I guess my point is, if these don't matter in terms of selecting committee members, I don't think they belong on the application. It could be like a follow-up after. But I wouldn't want to say like, well, you knocked me out because I can't do anything before school.
Right.
Or during school hours.
That's a good point. I'll take that one off. Yeah. But realistically though, all of our meetings are after school. Like, so I guess they have to be available from 4 o'clock on. So
could it be a note, like, please note, our meetings are typically in the early evening hours after school. Can you commit to attending monthly meetings for a 2-year term?
Okay, so take a little off and add note about time. Okay, yep, okay, that makes sense. So looking at this, are we comfortable with what we've talked about in terms of putting this out into the world as an application? Feels a little bit longer, maybe. Okay, so I will include this in what we sent, and then the other thing that I had included is because we had talked about a rubric. Did everybody have a chance to look at the rubric?
I remember looking at that. It's from August 25th.
Oh, it's in the document that I had the markups for. Who needs me to send this one? Yes. And so obviously the superintendent has the final say, but I thought this was a good because we want a way to objectively, right? And this looked like a good way to go about doing it. Like it talked about, responses from the applicant should be specific and relevant to the committee to which the applicant is applying. Talked about any experiences or qualifications the applicant may have specific to the work of the committee. Talked about the consistent contributions of the applicant to DEI at all levels of involvement, roles, contributions, and plans. Comfort demonstrated in discussing DEI doesn't really applicable because we're not going to be, meeting with them face to face. But it kind of has it from like, low to high, which I think this might be a good way for us to use to. The committee as a whole won't be evaluating them, but I think this looks like a pretty good baseline. There's much more knowledge than me in the room, but I wanted to get your feedback on what you all thought and if there is a better rubric out there to kind of use.
Under the first one, criterion 1 from the 13 and 20 score, the first it says consideration with respect to their career stage.
I mean, obviously it's for work, so like stuff like that can't be used, but things like clearly identifies the application's motivation of applying for the committee with specific examples of how the work of the committee aligns with their personal, academic, or personal interests, like things like that. Like, that's kind of what I was looking at, the things that kind of apply to an individual.
Oh, I thought we were going through this.
No, just kind of like pulling things like that out. Like the applicant may express little understanding of the work being done by a committee, or have ideas and contributions that are outside the current scope of the work of the committee. Like, so things like that, just to kind of give us an idea of. I'm open to suggestions if somebody has and obviously we don't need this today, but if somebody has a rubric that we think would be helpful, I would love it if they could share.
Seems to be a good place to start.
Yeah.
We can speak.
Yeah.
As from us. And so it's not starting from scratch.
Right. Yeah, and I'll continue to keep looking. But this at least, like you said, gives us something to start with.
I just think too that the one piece, because I remember filling it out, not knowing like what aspects I should include in that. And so like just looking at criteria 3, it says like further experience on DEI that was like I'm on other committees but at work, but I didn't include that necessarily in that like and if it would be a criterion, I would have like, oh, and on that committee.
Right.
Like so if we do have them as criterion, then maybe just include the following,
Right.
when that bigger paragraph of what the experience, so then because that would prompt you at least to get
put it
them out
on there, right.
because you could have had all of those rich experiences, but if you chose to write about a specific thing in that little,
Yes, that makes sense.
I would just to try to.
If you're grading on it, make sure you ask for it. Yes. Yep.
Yeah.
Okay, awesome. So, we did vote on this, right? Okay, so just to make sure I have it ready. So I'm going to make a motion to forward the recommendation for the committee makeup and the actual application itself to the school committee and recommend that this be what we proceed with for membership and the process for this subcommittee. So I'm going to make that motion. Can I get a second? All in favor? Okay, so it is 6:37. I don't want to dive too deeply into anything else, but I do want to just verify something because I think, I don't know for sure, but I feel like there may have been some confusion when we graded, for lack of a better term, the equity audit recommendations. So I went through and I did the top 5, and clearly those were all correct, like not correct, but like the top 5 in general, like was to increase opportunities for student voice in areas valued by students. And then if you just looked at like the top 5 for impact, it was also increased opportunities, and the top 5 for resource was increased opportunities. So across the board, like that was like the top 3, and there was some crossover also in the rest of them. But the bottom 5, I feel like some things may have gotten confused when we did the grading. Like, I think maybe some people scored like high when it was supposed to be low, and low when it was supposed to be high. So I just want to reiterate, or I just want to make sure that is correct, because the DEI officer, which we voted to send to the school committee, was at the absolute bottom. Which seems like inconsistent with what we had all talked about. And then the other things that were at the bottom were things like conducting a special education review, increasing community engagement events, and requiring
Recommended trainings.
what's that?
Recommended trainings.
Recommended training. So I feel like, and again, I could be wrong, but like that maybe there was a disconnect between like, if it costs more, was it supposed to be high, and if it like was the impact supposed to be low? Like, I just want to make sure, like, I'm pretty solid with the top 5 because those seem to be the things like just in conversations all were things that we all were top 5-y about, for lack of a better term. But the bottom 5, I'm not so sure about. And if they are, that's fine. But I just want to make sure that we're all on the same page with those. So I don't know how we want to proceed there. And math is not my strongest suit, so I don't even know, like, from like the resource standpoint, like, I'm trying to pick one. So like, increased community engagement events. Let's just take that because there's no cost there. So from a resource standpoint, should that be high? And I'm asking the question, like, should that be high or should that be low?
If it requires less resources for us to put forth, then it would be high.
Right, and so
Right.
half of
More
us did that, and the other half of us did it low. That's why I feel like there's a disconnect in the way that it was rated. I think half of us did it one way, and half of us did it the other way. So, I hate to ask everybody to do this again, but I just think it's important we get this right. So, I just want to write this down and then make sure everybody has this right. So it's for impact. If it has a high impact, it should be like 1, 2, 3, right? 1, 2, 3 for impact. That has a high impact, it should be a 3. And for resource,
So then it would be the opposite. If it's going to take a lot of resources, in other words, be very expensive, you'd rate it a 1.
right,
Right?
right. Right, yeah, I feel like we got this backwards. So low impact equals 0. High impact equals 3.
Mm-hmm.
Low resources equals 3. High resources equals 1. It's like the exact opposite of each other, right?
Right.
Okay. Impact looks pretty straightforward. But the engagement events is like the resources are skewed. So I think we can either individually do it or we can take time in the next meeting and go through it again when we did before, whichever is less excruciating for people.
How many items are you looking at?
It is 35.
I'm almost wondering if it would be easier for us to do this as like one team now, right? So if we take what you just did, we had like 2 boards up here next time, and we agreed this goes on this board, this goes on this board. That would be like a good double check because I can't remember now why my scores are where they are.
Yeah, that's a good idea.
Right.
Let's do that. Okay. Let's
I think we're pretty much on the same page with, and then if we don't agree, then we can just kind of work through those.
Yeah. Okay, so let's plan on that at the next meeting. So the next meeting is scheduled for October 18th, and then awkward scheduling mishap.
Do you want me, Jen, to bring like strips like cut up of these?
Yeah, that would be great. Yep. So in an awkward scheduling mishap, I can no longer make the 18th. Erin has told me that she can make it. I I just wanna make sure, I know I had sent out the scheduling invites, so as long as everybody else can make it, she can run the meeting. So I just, yes.
I assume so, I mean, I'll triple check, but,
Okay,
or I'll email you.
okay. Dave, yes, okay. So as long as we have at least, everybody, and I know you're conflicted and that's fine. Because Rob should be able to be here too by then, so that'll be fine. But I will not be here, I apologize. I was like, well, this is awkward after I was just like, we don't have people, so my apologies. So Erin will run that and I'll make sure that she knows, what we were doing. So I appreciate everybody. I feel like this is big progress. We finally got this done and we're gonna put it forward and I'm excited to see what happens. And again, I so appreciate everybody's like diligence and I know it's slow and it's painstaking. But I do feel like we are finally moving. And we had a discussion at the school committee meeting last night. They are going to be working on the job description for the equity position. The school department wanted to hire a consultant. We went back and forth, and we strongly, it might have been that we wanted this to be a position. They have agreed, it's disappointing that it's September, and we had approved it in February, but they have agreed that they will create a position, like a posting, put it out there, see what we can do in terms of hiring, and then if nobody bites on it, we will pivot and hire a consultant. But at least there is finally progress. The buses are running. We have job description coming. Equity PD is coming, I'm told, in March, and big steps. So we have done good things. We should all be really happy. Yes, I so, can I get a motion to adjourn?
Like one like high or low,
Great.
like yes or no.
Right.
And then resource, yes or no.
Are you motioning to adjourn?
I'm so excited about getting these new members.
That's
So it'll be